Melting Pot, a global podcast series hosted by Payal, connects guests who have inspiring stories and reaches out to a multicultural audience over 52 countries. Guests are diverse, such as celebrities, entrepreneurs, travelers, and many more who've had a turning point in their lives and moved over to a holistic lifestyle. Follow us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, social media. Hi everyone, hope all of you are doing well and the year has started beautifully for you. My name is Payal. I am the host, as you probably should already know, of Melting Pot. And actually, I host another show as well called Now Boarding. And if you haven't had an opportunity to listen to it, please do, because that show is also very, very inspiring and essentially, is very focused on ecotourism, sustainability, conservation. So it's got a very, very different focus and it's extremely niche as well. So thank you so much for listening in to Melting Pot every Friday. And I'm so grateful for all your support. And actually that's what keeps me going and wanting to bring you more and more episodes, and also as inspiring as they can be. And I'm also very, very grateful to all the guests who talk to me and are happy to share their journey, because somewhere it influences others who may want to do something similar. So again, I want to say thank you very much. And of course, keep listening to Melting Pot. Today I've decided to do something very, very different. I'm not sure if it's something that you will enjoy. You'll enjoy listening to my voice for 20 minutes, but I'm hoping that you will. And if it works, then I'll probably bring in like 2 episodes a month where it's just me sharing my thoughts. It could be about anything. Today I'm going to share something which, of course, as everyone knows, I'm extremely, extremely passionate about, at least the ones who know me. It's what gives me energy, and it's actually the most inspiring kind of thing that I would define who I am with, and that is travel. The kind of experiences that I gain, and I'm sure it's true for everyone, but for me, it's just there. I've been doing it my entire life, and I'm not going to stop in a hurry. So today I will share with you some anecdotes from my very, very recent trip to Barcelona. Barcelona is a city which is extremely close to my heart, and I have even lived there for 5 years, and I have sort of started to speak Spanish. I can't, I'm still a bit shy, but living there, I tried to integrate, which I think is something, which by integrating with the locals, the kind of learning of the culture and the food and, the different experiences that you get associated with is probably the best way of discovering a place. And that's something that I've done with Singapore as well, which is where my home is. So my very recent trip to Barcelona was extremely interesting. I was there for 3 weeks. It's always interesting, by the way. But I just, every single time I go to Barcelona, which is like 3-4 times a year, I'm absorbing, I'm learning. There's always a new experience, and it just, I never get bored of it. I never tire of it, because that's the kind of city it is. When it comes to the weather, it's just, it's just moderate weather all the year round. You can be walking throughout the year. It's never too cold. it does get warm in the month of August, which is when most of the locals, they just disappear from the city and they go up in the mountains, or they probably also go to the different parts of Catalonia, or even to the south of Spain, where there are some gorgeous beaches. So August, yeah, does get hot. But anyways, coming back to some highlights of my 3 weeks. I decided to, I'd interviewed the founder of a company called Locify, and she lives in Canada. And Locify is very interesting because they have a presence in different parts of the world, and it's the locals who are, so they're not tour guides as such, but they're locals, and you can give them the choice of things that you would like to do, and they customize things, and it's always, or I think it's 99% always a walking tour. So I thought, and I know Barcelona also has a Locify presence, so I thought, okay, let me try and maybe explore Barcelona a little differently. So I signed up for a 3-hour tour, and with someone local, decided to do it on a Sunday because I wasn't really catching up with any friends, or I didn't have anything specific to do on that Sunday. So I signed up for this tour, and I walked, and so what was interesting was that the locofier, as they're called, he said that he'd never really taken anyone on a tour who'd actually lived in the city. And so he was curious to know what it is that I may be interested in. So I just said to him, okay, surprise me. I mean, I've been clearly all over the city and I've explored on my own, but there could be buildings, or there could be areas that I may have just walked through and not really gone in depth to see if there's anything special there. So I walked with him for 3 hours. There's a very, very dear friend of mine, and she loves doing this whole exploration thing with me. So her and I, every time we walk through these little alleyways, we kind of say, like, seriously, we were here, but how is it that we missed seeing this very eclectic vintage store? And then some local person said to me that what also happens is that these vintage stores, they keep going, like they shut shop and then something else appears. So maybe that's the reason why, every time it looks new. And then there are these little art galleries, which for anyone who's an artist, I think it's paradise, because these little art galleries have, they showcase local artists, and I think Barcelona has such a strong artistic presence, and you can see that with all the murals as well that you see as you go along, and they're so different. Again, I will definitely share on Instagram some of the murals that have absolutely fascinated me, and I've taken photos, and all of it is my personal photos that I take as I go along. I went to an art festival at a museum, and when and it was a European art festival, and I kind of came across lots of different kinds of art, which was so interesting. And I ended up chatting with a couple of the artists, and one of them, and actually both of them, whom I chatted with, have actually been guests on my show, which is what is also so absolutely exciting, is when you travel and you are open to meeting new people. There's always so many different kinds of people that you encounter who have done such inspiring work that if you hadn't kind of bumped into them or met them, you would probably not even be aware that such talented people actually are around you, and you just haven't met them or haven't had an opportunity to talk to them. So that's something which was really, really interesting. And then Raja, who's one of the artists, as well as Eva. Raja is from she's Moroccan French, and Eva is from Bulgaria, and they were both showcasing their works. And I interviewed them, and it's on my artist series, their episodes. So if you haven't had an opportunity to listen, please do, because they're both really, really interesting. And then Raja introduced me to three other artists actually, whom she is friends with, and who she thought were also equally talented. And I had the opportunity to interview the three artists. So isn't that so incredible? And that's why I continue to do what I do outside of travel, and during my travel, just meet as many people as I possibly can. And you never know, what kind of ideas you get from meeting these people. So in fact, it's after I met Raja and Eva is when I decided to do this mini series on Melting Pot, that I normally curate little series of 8 or 10 episodes, and I called it like an artist series. I only interviewed artists. And what's interesting is that someone suggested an artist herself, and a very talented artist from India. When she knew I was in Barcelona, she said, "Why don't you go?" She said, "I'm like really, really fascinated with this Spanish artist, and I love her work." And she sent me the link of her handle, and when I went to it, I realized that she lives in Barcelona, and she's also exhibiting like a solo show in a gallery. And so I went to the gallery. It's not on the main streets, it's off the main streets, but I found the gallery. I went there. I saw her work and was so impressed, and I'm actually going to be interviewing her as well. So and she's Venezuelan, not Spanish, but she lives in Barcelona. So so of course you will be able to hear her episode as it's ready. But as I was walking towards the gallery, the museum, I saw a lot of people. There seemed to be a lot of activity, and I was very curious. So I started going towards the crowd to see what was happening. And then I saw a lot of cheering and people in their happy mood, with beers, with just on the streets. And then I realized that it was stage 7 of Volta a Catalunya, which is like a cycling competition. And there are people from other parts of the world who are also there. So there were these they were not little, but there were these camper vans with different teams in different countries parked along the road. And it's also near the Fira, which is where it's like a convention center where a lot of, your Mobile World Congress, Comic-Con, there are loads and loads of conventions that happen there. So it's around that area. And so I went and, I spent like an hour just watching, fascinated with how people are just so relaxed, and they're just enjoying themselves, and they're cheering for, the cyclists who come around the bend to where they are standing, and just having fun. And that is it. It's just small pleasures in life that actually make such a difference, and that's what that's what I feel about the people in Barcelona. They're just so, and I think it's true of all of Spain and different parts of Europe as well. People are just, especially the Mediterranean areas, regions, right? Greece and so people are just so relaxed. They like to have a good time. They're not stressed about day to day. They would like their siesta when they can. They are out, you call, like before I moved to Barcelona, I didn't really know the concept of a terraza. I thought, which is a terrace, and I thought that a terrace would be like a rooftop. But in Barcelona, a lot of the restaurants and the bars, they have a terraza, which is literally on the road. And this is like a terrace. That's what they refer to it as. And there are people just sitting around these little cafes and bars, and they're just enjoying the weather, enjoying the company of each other with some cerveza or some vermouth, and they're just having a good time. So yeah, so that was quite an interesting time. What I discovered was, unfortunately, there seems to be not enough rainfall in the city, in Spain actually, which has resulted in a lot of water cuts, which is kind of unfortunate. And so all the beautiful fountains, fountain in Plaza España, which is where I went, which is where the museum is, and where I went for this, actually stumbled on this cycling competition, and Paseo de Gracia, and and a lot of these different areas that have fountains, Placa Real, they all unfortunately are not being turned on. And Plaza Catalunya also, which is again a pretty iconic area in Barcelona. And so there's no, and also the parks are not being watered, and there are going to be more water cuts. So, I mean, obviously the government is trying to conserve as much water as they can by this kind of an initiative, and I'm hoping that the people in the city as well are rationing out their water, just so that it doesn't escalate into a crisis. So that was, something which I felt really, really, really sad about. But I'm sure, and I feel that this is a lot to do with climate change, and it's causing this kind of a ripple effect in different parts of the world, as we're all aware. So that's something which we, as individuals, we all need to play our part in. It doesn't matter which part of the world we live in, but it's important to be able to conserve from our end as much as we can, whether it's water or electricity. Everything counts. Okay, so have you heard of Antoni Gaudi? I'm sure you have. So Antoni Gaudi is, what kind of makes Barcelona also very, very special because, you've got Park Guell, you've got a lot of Sagrada Familia is a basilica, and of course it's Antoni Gaudi's absolute pride, and unfortunately is incomplete. And of course, that also adds to the the sort of the exoticness and our aura around it. So Sagrada Familia. I hope you enjoyed listening to me, and that wasn't too, boring. I get very excited when I start to talk, and so I hope, I hope I've interested you enough to make a trip to Barcelona, or if not, then at least, I've been able to share some of my little experiences, some of what I did in these 3 weeks, and so if you have liked this little episode, didn't turn out to be little in the end, but anyways, if you've enjoyed listening to my voice for whatever number of minutes and you would like to hear more from me, this was just an experimental episode. I have so much that I would love to share with you, and not necessarily about places in the world that I've been to, but other experiences, and I'm just anyways, I love to talk, so I'm never tired of talking, so I would be happy to continue to have you listen to me a couple of times a month. I promise you it's not going to be more than that, unless of course I get messages saying that no, we want to hear more of you, but I also want you to hear a lot more of what these incredible people who come to me as guests talk about, and their learning, their journey, their experiences. I would love to share more and more of that as well, but I think if we can do a combination of both, I'd be really, really happy, and I'd be happy to talk to you, because right now it seems like I'm talking to a friend, and I'm hoping that when you're listening to me, whether you're walking or you're working, and you, or whatever it is, and whatever form of activity you're into, as you're listening to me, I hope you have enjoyed this, and yes, so until the next time, do keep supporting us. Information about where the episodes are available is of course in the show description, and your support, as I keep saying, goes a long way and will continue to go a long way. So please do support with reviews, likes, messages, and everything else. It's all there in the show description. So thank you very, very much. Okay, bye for now. For more weekly conversations, do listen to Melting Pot on Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. Follow us on YouTube and on Instagram at Podcast Melting Pot. So until the next episode, this is Payal signing off.